Welcome back, everybody. Today we've got some online F1 races, just some quick five lappers. I believe there's no damage on, it's just a quick sprint race. We're going to have this first one here at Japan, and then the next one will be at France. Let's get into it. And so the first thing I do, gotta load my setup. Um, there was no qualifying for these races, so it's just a random grid. I think I got lucky and started around P4 or P5. But this is a pretty exciting race. Honestly, some good racing, good tactics all around. I definitely got pretty lucky. So yeah, I'm starting
Get an
P4.
actual race here. Less people.
As you can hear me saying, let's get an actual race going because I believe a couple of races before this, we've just had me disconnecting from races, and then also a couple where just turn one, people crash right into me and the race ends. So let's see an actual good race going. Good start right away, but people behind me also get a good start. So I gain one and then lose two positions going into turn one. And as you can see, there's just absolute chaos. People crashing everywhere. I get back up to P4, and then P2 tries to dive straight into P1. He must have been angry at something, but regardless, we move on, and we're alive. So now really all we want to do is let the race settle down, stay right behind Legacy 16 PR, and think about how we're going to move forward as the race goes on. Going into this tight hairpin, you can see that the guy in P1 is kind of jittering all over the place. His connection must have been really bad, and that's really a problem because when you're trying to make a move on somebody, you don't want to have them just jumping left and right due to lag. An accidental crash is almost inevitable when something like that happens. But anyways, out of the spoon corner, I get a decent exit. I'm still just sitting right behind. The guy in P4 behind me is over a second and a half away. Oh, and here you see P2 and P1, they make some contact, so I take advantage of this move. This guy's still lagging, so I need to be really careful and make sure that whatever overtake opportunity I get, I need to make it clean, and I don't want to do anything crazy. So here, I just pull up along the outside in the straight, but then you see me, I run really wide, and it gives the guy behind me a good exit, and he's able to pass through. So that's alright. It's a 5-lap race, we're only just starting lap 2, so I'm in no rush. Really, the most important thing is that the people behind me are falling away. And right here you see P1 makes a mistake. That's an easy spot to make a mistake. If you try to take it flat a bit too early, you can run wide and then you touch the gravel and you're done. So at this point, I'm simply in first place, and now my only goal is to pull away. So taking the hairpin nicely again, just taking it flat out. These 5-lap races, you want to be much more aggressive with your ERS, which is why you see me using it so much, just because you want to use all of it by the end of the race, and if you don't push the overtake button basically through every exit, you'll have a lot of extra energy at the end of the race, which you don't want. You want to use 100% of your ERS to get the fastest possible race time. So anyways, into 130R, taking it flat out, hitting the chicane, touching those bollards. That's right on the track limits, as long as you keep your at least one wheel that's inside the white lines. At corners like that, you can go fully off the side because of how long the Formula 1 car is. And you can see Kaizura in the background is actually about 7/10 faster than me on that last lap, so he's going to be chasing down the field. All I need to do is be consistent, make no mistakes, and keep this guy behind me. If he tries to make a move, I will go defensive. There's no reason not to in these short races. I want to hold on to the lead no matter what. Now going into the not the Lesmos, what are these called in Japan? I'll have to look it up. Maybe I'll add that in post. But now into the hairpin, passing through. Still solid exits all around. I find that Suzuka is one of my favorite tracks. I feel like I'm just very consistent. Like I can do 100% race here and potentially not make any mistakes, not spin out at all. Which, I mean, obviously a track that I like, I tend to perform well at, which you can see here as I'm in the lead. Another track that I really like is Monaco. Obviously it's really hard to overtake, but I've just grinded Monaco so much that it's like muscle memory now, and I can just do the entire lap consistently, basically with my eyes closed. And there we go. I get a fastest lap of a 31.8, and let's see if anybody will beat it. Yeah, Kaizura beats it once again with a 31.5. So he's 7 seconds behind, and his pace is only 0.3 faster than me, so I should be safe against him. And now back into the S's. The S's are pretty difficult on this game. You really have to take the line perfectly and be very careful with the throttle. Same with this final, this exit out of the S's, and then into these two corners as well. You really don't want to run too wide because it's really easy to spin out on those curbs in this game compared to the previous games where you really wanted to use all of the track limit there. That's really a big part of this F1 22 game, is knowing which curbs will spin you out and which curbs you can use. Really, you can only learn that through experience. You can see I'm not the fastest through Spoon, but I get a decent exit, and Legacy is still 0.6 behind. So he is within DRS range, and he is going to be pushing to try to make an overtake, so I'll have to go defensive. Now through 130R, he's gaining really quickly. I push my overtake button to get a little bit better exit out of 130R. And then into the final chicane, I get a really good line and exit and am able to start gaining. But you can see Legacy ran a 13.2 and I ran a 31.5, or sorry, he ran a 31.2 and I ran a 31.5. So he is 0.3 faster than me, and he's only 0.3 away. So he's going to be trying to make this move. You can see he's within 1/10 now. Just got to hold him back. Try not to focus on the guy behind me, just focus on my line and my driving, because I know that my pace is at least close enough to where I can stay in the lead. And right here, he makes a mistake going out of that final corner of the first sector, and I'm able to pull away a little bit, and I'm going to take advantage of this. And you see I get a little bit of wheel spin and oversteer, and the gap closes right back down, but I know I'm faster through this hairpin, and I can get a solid exit, and you can see I gained a little bit. I'm still gaining because I have more battery. It looks like he might have used a bit too much battery because he's unable to gain at this point. Now I'm going to tap the overtake button just for a second here, and then save the rest of my battery going out of 130R, which is this next left-hander. And then I'm just gonna use the rest of my overtake basically to finish the race. And I hit the chicane, and job done. And that's a race win. This was actually my first online race win that I got streaming. I've had quite a few race wins in this game in the past, but to do it streaming is a bit more difficult.
I just needed a car that was fast.
I'll let myself talk. But even though I only have like 1 or 2 viewers, just the stress of knowing that I'm recording, it actually plays a big part, and it's something I've had to adapt to, and I'm finally getting back into the consistency
I'm gonna call it.
and focus.
Finish it off with a win.
Very clean race. That last lap, made some mistakes, but held it together. Yeah, so as you can hear me say, this is the end of the stream for the day, and now I'm going to move on to the next stream, where we're racing at France, and this one is a really exciting one. Okay, so now we're at France. Once again, there's no qualifying, and I just need to load up a setup.
Alright, France setup. Where's my France setup?
And generally, my setups I just take from the top time trial guys, and then what I do is I drop the tire pressures because overheating is a big issue in races, especially on the soft tires. So I like to go drop the tire
Starting at the
pressures
top.
down, generally a bit more higher pressure on the rears.
First laps of the day. See how this goes.
But yeah, so this, as you can hear me say, this was actually the first race of the day for me. So I was probably not warmed up at all, but it still turns out to be a good race. So 5 lights and away we go. And you can see right away somebody had a bad start and
Somebody got a draft
or they
penalty
jumped the
right away.
start and took the lead right away, but they have a drive-through penalty, so they're gonna have to pit. We don't have to worry about him. I'm just really taking it safe. Don't want to do anything crazy into the first corner
Alright, now we're racing.
because honestly, if you survive the first corner, you can generally do significantly better throughout the rest of the race. So yeah, I'm sitting in P4. Immediately just trying to
The guy in
follow
P1,
this guy Max.
Penalty, thankfully.
You hear me say
Oh,
the
no,
guy
it's
in
P2.
The guy in P1 does
Going
not have a
all the way.
penalty, but P2 does. So, really, I'm in third place with this guy with the drive-through. Going into this chicane, you really want to. France is a track where you really want to take advantage of the track limits.
Save my battery.
The curbs are very thin. In this game, they've actually made them a bit more realistic compared to the last games where it was literally just like tarmac. Now they're a little bit bumpy, but you still want to use the curbs as much as you can. Now going into this final sector, which is really tricky, honestly, especially this corner, I just can never spot my braking point. I do okay here. I get a solid exit, and you can see that I'm gaining on Max again. And you see also the guy in second drops into the pits, and actually the guy in first also went into the pits, so he must have
Alright,
also
Max.
had a drive-through penalty.
Oh, Max in P1?
Yeah, so
This is the race for the
from
lead?
that I go up into second place, and I'm competing for the race win right away. And now, since I'm competing for the race win, I just want to be consistent, and I want to make sure no one overtakes me from behind. If I can keep up with Max until the end of the race and make a move maybe in lap 5 or lap 4, that would be ideal. So, I'm following through him into this twisty sector, going on to the main straight,
Cut that a bit.
and 4/10 is the gap. You can see I'm pulling away from the guy in third just a little bit, using all of the track limit into the chicane, like I said. Same with the entry of that corner. You really want to get all over that apex. And this guy tries to break the slipstream. It doesn't really matter. Slipstream is not strong enough in this game to actually make much of a difference. Even DRS is really not that powerful. I would say that the most powerful thing in this game is the battery. So, as a result of that, I want to make sure that I use less of my battery than the guy in first place. And the way I can tell that the guy in first place is using
Oh, he's
more
spun
battery is if his light starts blinking in the rear. Like, you might see it later on. But also, as this happened, the guy in third place
Alright,
actually
DRS
spun
in the
out.
middle.
So now it's gone from a
This should be
3-horse
pretty easy
race.
in the DRS zone.
It's gone from a 3-horse race to a
Fastest
2-horse
lap.
race. And now all I have to do,
Oh,
and
now
actually you
got a
see
penalty.
here he cut the corner as
I'm
well.
definitely
So
not gonna push.
as I say, I definitely don't want to push now. There's no point. As long as I stay within 2 seconds, I will win the race. It's always nicer to win the race on track, but a race win is a race win, you know. If he gets a penalty, he's not going to be able to get the win. So anyways, I'm chasing after Max, just staying in his DRS. Now I can actually use the DRS and really save battery. So
He's
Max in
using all
first
his
place, who has no DRS, he's going to be using a lot of his battery to try to stay ahead. And that's exactly what I want, because as soon as his DRS or his ERS drops below 10%, his light will start blinking, and that means he's down on power. And it's about 200 horsepower coming from the ERS system. So I basically get a free 200 horsepower to try to make a move. And once again, going into this tricky final sector, I'm really nailing this corner right here, which normally I do not, so it's very surprising. I do find when I'm following, it's a bit easier for me to find my braking point, but on a qualifying lap or something, it's much more difficult. And you see, I take a wider line to get a better exit going into turn 1. I'm thinking about making a move here, but he's dumping his battery. You can see he's actually maintaining the gap even though he doesn't have DRS. So that's telling me that he must be low on battery. And I have 72% for my last 2 laps, so I should be doing okay. He kind of runs out wide, and
He's getting really defensive.
yeah, as I say, he's getting very defensive, and that's fine. I don't mind actually overtaking right now. I'll just be patient and sit behind him, let him continue to use his battery. And now here,
There we go.
I've got a really good run, and so I just go for it. With the DRS and my ERS, I drop a bunch of it to pull a gap, and job done. It was a very easy overtake. And now all I need to do is bring it home.
Alright, let's go for a fastest lap on the final lap.
And you can hear me say I'm going for a fastest lap on the final lap. Generally the tires get, if you have your tire pressures set
Really
properly,
pushing.
the tires will be in their optimal range right in the 5th lap. And if there's no one ahead of you, it's really easy to get a fastest lap. Assuming your pace is good, which, you know, it seems like my pace is good because I'm winning, but I also do not have the fastest lap, so there's people behind me who are quicker than me right now. But all I need to do is focus on not making any mistakes and just being consistent. I preach that quite a bit. Consistency is way more important than pace in racing. You can have a lap time that's a second slower than the guy ahead of you, but if he makes a mistake 1 every 5 laps and you're doing a 20 lap race, you're gonna win, you know? You may not be as fast as him, but if you're consistent, you can just pass through people. Because what matters is the total time of the race, not so much individual lap times. It's the total race time. So anyways, going into the exit of this first sector onto the main straight once again, the gap is now 6.6 tenths. And he does have DRS, so he will be gaining, but I don't really have to worry because he, once again, has that 2-second penalty. So I know that I basically have this in the bag. I got a green first sector, not purple, which means right now I do not have, or I'm not on track to get the fastest lap. I still am not, even though I got a green sector 2. Although, if I can get a green sector 3 as well, I may be able to get the fastest lap, even though I didn't actually run the fastest, any fast sectors, really. You see, I go a little bit wide in that corner, and that slows me down a little bit. Same with this
Just
one.
a tad wide.
You can see it's
Go
much
slow.
more difficult to get that corner when you're not following somebody. You'd think that dirty air would make it more difficult, but actually just being able to see their line and spot where to brake based on where they are, I find is very helpful. And you can see right at the end, I pulled away.
Number 2.
You hear me
Not
say,
fastest lap, though.
race win number 2. I did not get a fastest lap.
Hey!
I did run a 33.8, which is pretty solid. I think my time
That's what I'm
trial
talking about.
lap
P1,
time is like a
clean moves, no
31.
contact.
It might be a 29. I'll have to check on that. But regardless,
Beautiful all around.
that was 2 quick online race wins. Unfortunately, as I've said before, there are times where F122, the online races, work well, and then other times where it does not work well. I found that the 5-lap races are more, they're more consistent
You got the win.
than the 25% races. That's obviously because the races are longer, there's more opportunity for some kind of glitch to come out, whereas these short, 10-minute 5-lappers, generally there aren't many risks of like having a weird safety car glitch. I don't think safety cars are even allowed in the 5-lap races.
P4 to P1.
But regardless, that's 2 race wins going from 4th place to 1st, and I was pretty satisfied with it, and I hope you guys all enjoyed. So thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe, and any feedback would really be appreciated. So don't be afraid to leave a comment if you don't like my editing style, or if you think that, you know, I'm talking over myself live. I'm trying to work through that, but I hope that every video I make, the editing will improve. So yeah, thanks.